You know what that is? I know it's bacteria, but there are other things other than bacteria that are prokaryotes. We are eukaryotes. They don't have the organelles. If you look at our cell, you will see mitochondria. You will see a nucleus. You will see all these organelles. So we have membranes. And a prokaryote, they have all the stuff. It's not mixed together. It's not in membranes. Like all our DNA is packaged in our nucleus, in a membrane of the nucleus. Well, the prokaryote, like bacteria, they have the DNA, but it's just all floating around inside there. So a prokaryote. Now, let me ask you a question though. Based on that alone, which do you think is more ancient, the prokaryote or the eukaryote? Which probably came first? The prokaryote was disorganized, and when you start putting things in folders and get organized, then you develop to a higher level, and that's your eukaryote. So when you look at an amoeba, a paramecium, a euglena, volvox, those kind of single-cell critters, you're going to see inside them a nucleus. Right there, stop. You see a nucleus? It's a eukaryote. Bacteria. Some of you use cyanobacteria, and we use cyanobacteria to make ice cream, by the way. Don't think bacteria is always bad. It's not. But all your bacteria, never do you see a nucleus in those suckers. That makes them a prokaryote. Nutritious. If you were in the woods and you saw a deer eat a mushroom, would that guarantee you eat a mushroom too?
No.
But not. Why would it kill you and not the deer? Because it won't.
It has some.
The deer has a different metabolism, and he can use those chemicals that would kill you. So you can't just watch a critter and say, I'll eat what he eats. Unless the critter's not a person like us. And even then, I know we had a professor at college who would go in the woods and collect mushrooms to eat. I never did trust that joker. One day I saw him, he'd teach class smoking cigarettes.
Were they shrooms?
Teaching class. And that was unheard of. He was up one day talking and he had chalk. And he would swap cigarettes. And when he got done talking, he would put a cigarette in his mouth and chalk in his pocket. One day he reversed it.
Did he burn
The cigarette went to his pocket. And all the folks sitting there looked. We totally forgot the lesson. And he had these gray pants, a little black dot for him. Smoke came out. He began to slap his leg. And that day, that class was gone. Dr. Sims. And he was the head of the department, so can't really do anything to him. And he was old and in your face. Tell him about being a rude teacher. He had no bedside manner. If he didn't like his grade, he'd say, drop out. He didn't work with you. I didn't like the man because I'm more personable than that. But I got to admit one thing. He knew his biology. And a lot of things that I know now. I don't like his teaching style. I haven't, but his knowledge. Now that I teach, I realize how smart that dude really was. But on some of the more common things, like a cigarette in your pocket, he was not a genius. But could you eat the things a coyote eats? They eat everything in sight. Or a goat eats. The metabolism of the organism determines what it is nutritious and what to it is. There's some bacteria that live on hydrogen sulfide, a deadly gas. But they just soak it right up and keep on going. It would put you in the grave. It's all because they can use that and metabolize it. You cannot. And if you can't metabolize it, it will kill you. And that's why these decomposers, I'm glad we have them, because can you imagine how the world would look if everything that ever died was still here on the earth laying on the ground?
Yeah.
That'd be terrible.
Pretty bad.
Luckily it's not.
So that's what's happening when people get food poisoning and the body can't metabolize.
That's exactly what happens. You can't metabolize the poisoning. And also now, when they say cook your meat well done, are you killing the bugs or the chemicals? Well, if the bugs are in there have done made the chemicals, and you boil it, what good is that? You still got the bad chemical. And that's why they, when I shoot a deer, I like to eat deer meat. I mean, to me, it's good. It's not cheaper though, I'll give it now. It's cheaper to go Phoenix and buy your steak than buy your gun, buy your ammo, buy your processing. It's expensive to eat a deer. I got it now. The folks who hunt and they tell you because it's cheaper, they're lying to you. But when I cook deer meat, I cook the crap out of it. I cook it so well done, and a lot of folks say, well, if you like your meat raw or rare, then don't eat deer meat because you got to cook it well. And then when you go to like Winn-Dixie or Kroger or Sam's or where, and you buy your meat, that meat's been inspected by government inspectors, they say, and stamped, USDA approved, which tells me that the meat is free of organisms. If I want to cook it rare or raw, I can. And then one day they had a big stink. I was in college when about 5 of the inspectors got put in jail for taking bribes to stamp the food and never look at the food. What's the problem with that?
Kill people.
They had 5 folks die of food poisoning eating that stuff that was stamped, and then they realized that these inspectors were dishonest. You got to admit, you got to put faith in people, and those two, you got to put faith in those kind of folks that they're going to do their job. And I mean, my thought was execute them. I was too harsh. They led to 5 deaths. If I took my gun and shot you, I see no difference. I see no difference at all. When you stamp that thing, you give me $100 to let it go, I think I'm at fault. But they went to jail. I guess they're out by now. Probably served 6 months and got out, which is ridiculous. Now, decomposers, like the bacteria there, they release sulfur. And then that sulfur is changed to hydrogen sulfide. And in some animals, that's poisonous. But other things it's not. Depends on what your metabolism is. What color is sulfur, do you know?
Yellow.
It's yellow. Yellow. And I know in Vietnam we had sulfur. We put sulfur on the wound. What does sulfur do to the germs in the wound?
Kill.
You kill it. Sulfur is a good thing to use. But you be careful not getting your mouth on it.
Does it also repel mosquitoes?
It does. I think, those candles you burn, what, citronella? I think there's some sulfur in that. That helps keep the bugs away when you're having your picnic or your evening party at your house or whatever. But anyway, hydrogen sulfide is poisonous to animals. But Mother Nature has a way of solving the sulfide problem. Prokaryotes can take that bad gas, they can change it to sulfate. Plants love sulfates.
Hydrogen is supposed to be.
Yeah, hydrogen.
Which one?
Hydrogen.
I have to prepare.
I gotta find it. How many lines down?
It's
Right next, right,
It's
next
after
It's the second and third line.
Oh, right here where it
Yeah.
breaks?
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Oh, can we do that? Just hydrogen?
Yep.
All right. You know those prokaryotes that don't get killed by hydrogen sulfide? They do us a favor by taking that bad gas out of the system, so I don't get it. Because I can't handle it, but those bacteria can. That's what's amazing. You can't eat sulfur by itself, but you can eat a compound that has sulfur in it. Isn't that strange? For example, table salt, that sodium chloride? Sodium by itself will kill you dead. Chlorine gas will kill you dead as a doornail. But in compound, you put your French fries. And the beauty is, in chemistry, when two things join, that new compound has totally different properties from the things that made it. Is that true in human genetics? Do you resemble one of your parents or somebody in the background? Yeah. Say, in chemistry, you would look nothing at all, any way at all, like your mother and father. But this ain't chemistry. So you do look like one. You might skip a generation and look like your grandma, which is possible, it happens. But in case of chemistry, when those atoms bond together, instead of being like sodium chloride, instead of being double deadly, it becomes good. And the thing here, if I can remove the hydrogen sulfide and I can make it become something else, then I've removed that lethality from it. And what happens, those prokaryotes, they do take that hydrogen sulfide and they change it to sulfate, SO4. And the sulfates are used in making other compounds by plants. When you eat black-eyed peas, when you eat lettuce and all that good stuff, you're getting the sulfur-containing amino acids that you need. So this is fairly complex how nature works it all out in the long run. That saying about it's not nice to fool Mother Nature, but leave her alone. Because we tried a lot of times to, we brought in kudzu. We brought kudzu in ourselves from Europe to stop the runoff of land. And now it's time to open up everywhere. Deer don't like it. We brought in, carp, the old carp.
Yep.
That fish was imported they don't live here. We brought it in here from Europe on purpose. You go, that's stupid. At the time it wasn't. Back in the 20s, we had that big depression. Folks were starving to death. But the folks in Europe, bless their hearts, they like to eat carp. You seen a carp?
Those fish that jump.
I'd be awful hungry. And there's the old joke about carp, how you take a carp, put it on the board, and you saute it, you just do a thing to it, and then you later on throw the carp away and eat the board. That's how the joke was. I've caught them. They're fun to catch. I even bow hunt fish. Oh, they're fun. They fight you like a dog. But all I do is kill them. Because a carp runs off bass and lays his eggs where a bass would have laid. So anything that combats a bass is my enemy. Carp, big time. And the grass carp are worst of all. Now we built a lake at my hunting land before having a wreck. We put in 20 grass carp that were sterilized. Wild had to be sterilized.
So they don't make a new population.
I don't want to make it. I don't have 1,000 carp one day up there. Now grass carp, if grass grows in your pond, right? And for long grass fill your pond up. I want the grass carp to eat the grass, they're my lawnmowers, in the pond. But I don't want them suckers to reproduce, so now here it is 10 years later, and I imagine they're all dead probably. So what should I probably do?
Get some more.
Go buy some more, sterile ones. I don't want to make any babies now, because they'll take my lake over. And right now, my lake, I caught me a 10-pound bass out of it. When I put a bass in there, it was that big. Like a little goldfish. Suckers get big. And my catfish are, God, they're huge. But we feed them every day. We have a feeder that goes off and feeds the fish. When that thing goes off, it's like piranha. I often wonder if you're in the water, would it hurt you? No, it would not. It looks bad when you're just tearing the water up. But these prokaryotes, they do us a tremendous favor by taking this hydrogen sulfide out of the circulation that we hurt animals. But one thing about it though, if you compare metabolism of us to a cat or a dog or a tree, they're very similar. And the species can be very different, yet the pathways are very, very similar. Let me ask you a question, if you know the answer. What's that famous compound that everything makes that contains energy for us? It's 3 letters. It's a famous compound that stores energy for us for later use. What 3 letters? First one's an A. ATP. ATP is the only way we have of saving energy. When you eat dinner and you take that food in and you break it down, you would not even get to use the energy if you couldn't capture it somehow. And you capture it by making ATP. And when you want to have your hair grow or walk around, to get back the energy, you break down the ATP. They're your batteries. ATP is in trees. It's in bacteria. It's in us. We are nowhere near like a bacteria model. Yet the pathway for making ATP for us is the same as in bacteria. There are some things across the board that are just common to all species. Some folks say that's evolution. I think that's creation. That's how you want to talk. I don't care what you want with it. I mean, if I'm going to design a system that works, and if I made a dog, if I made a cat, if I made a bacterium, I'll use the same system, all 3 of them. Why make a new system? But some folks say, no, that just proves that the system worked in one thing, and as it evolved in new things, the system went with it. I can't dispute that either. I can't dispute evolution. I cannot tell you right now evolution is wrong. I can't tell you creation is wrong. Each one to his own belief. And when I go to a Sunday school class, and I don't like telling people what I do for a living, and they want me to debate evolution with them. You think the Bible's right? Of course I do. They want to hear my opinion, and I just don't want to give it to them. My thought is, if you believe in evolution, go for it. You think about creation, go for it. If you mix them together, go for it. I don't mind. Well, I don't like those how you force your will on me. Like, I'm going to say my opinion. No, don't call me stupid because of the way I believe. I won't call you stupid either. Now, I tell you what, I've been to a few debates on evolution creation. It sounds good on both sides. It sounds good on both sides. And you walk out the door feeling confused. And you go back to your own beliefs anyway. All the debate does is make you mad. Now, I'm talking about how some pathways are the same. Now, these carboxylic acids are cool, and we're going to study them probably in lesson 15 or 16. Yeah, I'm going to talk about them right now without making you know what they are. Get your blanks filled in, then I'll let me try and explain to you. Okay, now let me do some groundwork before I get into this thing here. Ever hear of something called glycolysis? Ever hear the word glycolysis?
Mm-hmm.
Every living thing, trees, us, bacteria, buzzards, birds, dogs, worms, fish, poison ivy, every living thing does glycolysis. That is true for all life. Now, but glycolysis only starts a process if there's no oxygen available. That's all you have. Question, are there some things that can live without oxygen?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are there some things that are so bad that oxygen will kill them?
Yes.
They must have no oxygen. There's some that they're called obligate anaerobes. There are some animals, not animals, there's some microbes If you give them oxygen, you will kill them. They live their life, their metabolism, totally they're divorced from oxygen. In my case, you take away oxygen, you're going to kill me. Now, even those ones that don't use oxygen, they do glycolysis, because glycolysis doesn't use oxygen. Even you people in here, when you're doing glycolysis, the air you breathe in is not being used. Glycolysis does not use oxygen. All it does is take a sugar molecule and tear it in half. Out comes some energy. And that it makes a little bit of ATP. Now, if you're a real itty bitty critter and you're one cell big, that's enough to keep you alive. But if you're big as us, though, that ain't going to do it. Like saying, let's have dinner. I'll give you one black eyed pea. That will keep you living with it. Now, if I gave one black eyed pea to a bacterium, he goes, boy, that's more than I can eat. Depends on who you are, right? Well, now, these carboxylic acids, if you're breathing oxygen like we are, when you get done with glycolysis, now you have this glucose, right? It's torn out. These two things here, they still contain tons of energy. They're called pyruvic acid, by the way. Now, these two substances are then sent into your mitochondria. You breathe in oxygen, right? Oxygen goes to your mitochondria. Now, in the mitochondria, there's a thing called the citric acid cycle going on. You might know it as Krebs cycle. Krebs was the person that first discovered it. He didn't name it. We named it in his honor. So, and this Krebs cycle, the very first thing you make is called citric acid. It's really called citrate, but that is citric acid. So it got its name from the first thing. Now citric acid, something happens to it, it becomes isosimilate. Something happens to that, it becomes similate. Something happens to that, it becomes lumate. And every time something happens, off comes some carbon dioxide. When you remove carbon dioxide, out comes some energy. Well, the carbon dioxide is waste, and we breathe it out. We get rid of it. We don't want it. But the trick is, I got to make ATP stay alive. So what I do, when I rip off some carbon dioxide, then those bonds have broken, out comes some energy. I can use that to make ATP, which I need to have. Well, that stuff, he ain't done yet. I can tear off some more carbon dioxide. So I tear some more off, and I make some more ATP. And it goes through a little cycle, ripping and tearing. And when you get done with it, you have made all this ATP, but you made all this carbon dioxide that you had to breathe out. Now, the oxygen that you took in was producing electrons and hydrogens. So what you do when you get over, you got to remove those things. So you take the hydrogens you produce, combine oxygen, you also breathe out water. There we go, and make them boil. See that water? Mm-hmm. That's from my breakdown of sugar. Now when I sweat, that ain't from that breakdown of sugar. But when you huff on your glasses, that's water. At wintertime, you see it coming out of your mouth. That is coming from your cells. When the cells are taking this cycle and they're working through it, taking these molecules and ripping off carbons, because every time you tear a carbon off, out comes some energy that you can use to make more ATP. Okay? And as you do that, the carbon dioxide, you got to get rid of it. And so you breathe it out. Now when you get done, the oxygen that you breathed in, you got to get rid of it too. Well, the hydrogens that you produce, because glucose has tons of hydrogen, remember? It's C6H12O6. All those H's combined with water, with O's you breathe in, and you breathe out water. When you get done, there's no waste left over, there's no trash. And you've taken that glucose, and you rip that sulfur apart, tearing off carbons one at a time, making carbon dioxide. And when you got done, you made all these, one mole of glucose will make for you 36 ATPs. Don't sound like a lot. When you break down food, you're destroying millions of moles. That's a lot of ATP, and that's what makes your hair grow, makes your heart beat, makes your muscle work. That's your energy. If I choke you, I strangle you. How long before you are dead? 30 minutes?
No.
How long? 3 or 4 minutes? Because if I cut off the oxygen supply to you, then you can't complete this process, and the process stops. And when the process stops, you die. That's why choking you. Now, they taught me in Ranger School that if I've got behind somebody and I'm choking them, when they first hit the ground, don't let go. And it's that they're not dead yet. You just made them pass out. Because if you let go and you move on your mission, behind you, he's going to wake up. He's going to be mad too. He's going to come looking for you. So they always taught us. You know the stocking strangler in Columbus, Georgia? He got caught because his last victim, the cops were arriving and he had to run. And she revived and could describe him. That's how that happened. And he knew to hold that stocking long enough that when they merely faint, they ain't dead yet. He knew that. He could keep on strangling. And I always had in my pocket one, the Army socks, how long they are? Oh man, they're great for choking things. I've never choked a person though. I've never had to do that. And I always take a bullet, far away. As far as hand to hand, I would hate to take a life like that. But I know folks who, if to kill or be killed, and I'd rather kill them than have them kill me. But if you choke them, if you cut off the oxygen, it ain't long before he is going to be dead. But first you're going to just pass out. Just going to faint. All organisms do this citric acid cycle. And those products are the same products. From me, to you, to trees, to bacteria. They're the same products. And that tells us it's pretty unique in life. There are some things all life have in common. And that citric acid cycle is one of them. All living things do glycolysis. And the acid cycle, now, here's the problem. If you are a bacterium and you don't use oxygen, you can't do the acid cycle. Why? You need oxygen to carry the carbons off. So these little big bacteria that you can't even see with your naked eye, you can't see them, they're so small that glycolysis makes enough ATP to keep them alive. But if they're big like we were, that would be enough. They can't do more than glycolysis. And these trees out here, those green leaves out there, can you eat poison ivy?
No.
But can you eat lettuce leaves?
No.
They're both leaves. You eat lettuce leaves all the time. They're in salad. So why can't you eat poison ivy leaves? Do all leaves have the same chemicals?
No.
No. Now my question, who is the first person to ever eat a piece of lettuce? And say, now watch this. I ain't dead yet. Do you know the coleus plants in people's houses are deadly poison? They are deadly poison. And I know in my house, I wouldn't have a coleus plant. If I had grandkids, I wouldn't have one. What do kids do?
Put things
Put
in
things in
their
their
mouth.
mouth. Now, I don't know how many kids though crawl to a leaf, but they might. And coleus leaf, unlike cabbage leaves, you don't eat certain leaves because they got chemicals inside that you can't metabolize. If you can't metabolize it, it's a poison. All right. And these similarities is what makes people think evolution is the way things came about. And things that work well, hang around. Things that don't work well, get set by the side of the road. So if you think evolution, this would clearly be one of the things you would say to make folks think you're right. That all these pathways from animal to animal, they're the same. So if this evolved from this, then these pathways would be in this one over here, which evolved from it. But now if you talk to a creationist, they're going to say, that's fine and dandy, but this system works so well, the creator put them in both systems, in both organisms. So when you get done with it, it just matters what you believe. It doesn't matter what you believe personally, what you live with. I was looking for some pathways to show you, and this is one for photosynthesis. We're going to discuss it. I looked at the pathway for glycolysis and turned it down. I'm going to show you one, show you how complex it can really be. That's about as simple as I can get.
Can you go back one?
Yeah.
Just for a second. Thank you.
All right.
This is photosynthesis.
Yeah, this is a chloroplast. And that's what makes trees green. Not trees, because the bark is green, but the leaves are green. This whole thing right here is to a leaf what a mitochondria is to you. Now, there's your Calvin cycle that works on a leaf, and what happens, the sun shines down. Inside the chloroplast, there's a stack of plates. They're called grana, and they're green. The sun hits this, and you water the plant. The plant wants the H's. He wants the H's. So he tears about water, and he spits out the oxygen. To him, that's trash. I'm glad I need it. So what happens, when you water your plant, the sunlight provides the energy that makes that plant tear it apart. The plant saves the H's. It wants the H's. But the O, he didn't want the O. So he throws it away into the air. And I breathe it. I need the O. I need the oxygen. Now, these H's are then sent into a thing called the Calvin cycle. Now, what's a plant take in that we breathe out? Do you see it all there going in? Now, glucose, like right here, sucrose, it contains C's, it has H's, and it has O's. Let me ask you a question. In that sugar cane down there, where do you think the C's and O's came from? Get a picture on top. What that plant take in?
Carbon dioxide.
What's in carbon dioxide? C's and O's. Now, but between the C's and O's, there are H's. Where did the H's come from? The water that the plant did what to? Split. So there's two things going on here. We're splitting water to get what? The H's. What happens to the O's? As far as the plant's concerned, that's trash. And the plant, I want to say breathe it out, but lets it go. The H's, though, are sent to the Calvin cycle because the plant's going to take in carbon dioxide. He needs one more thing to make sugar cane, that H. And this cycle, what he does is take this, separate this from each other, insert the H in there. Now, if you have two O's, and I'm going to make water, how many H's do I need for my two O's? I need 4. And the 2 H's per O. Now, so if I have 2 O's, I would need 4 H's. Now, where do H's come from? From the water you split. So the plant takes in carbon dioxide, which is my waste. I don't want carbon dioxide. I breathe that. Plant goes, use all you can make. So the plant takes in carbon dioxide. I water my plant. He rips the water apart, throws away the oxygen, and the H's is sent to the Calvin cycle. The Calvin cycle takes and inserts the H's into the CO2. Now, if you have C and an O2, that's going to become CH4O2. And I keep making it. When I get done, I have 12 carbons. I have 11 waters. How do I see 11 waters right there in that one? How do I see 11 waters? If I have 11 waters, how many H's do I need to make it? I need 22 of them. If I have 11 waters, how many O's do I need? I need 11 of them. What do you think carbohydrate means? Carbohydrate means carbon hooked to water. Sugars are carbohydrates. All sugars are carbon atoms hooked to water. You see right there? Carbon atoms hooked to water. I've got 12 carbons. Look at my fingers. How many fingers do you see? How many spaces are there? I only got one extra finger, don't I? I got 3 spaces, right? Now look right there. Carbon, water, carbon, water, carbon, water, carbon. Well, I always have one more carbon than water. Carbon, water, carbon, water, carbon, water. I have 3 waters, and I have 4 carbons. Same thing here. If I do it 12 times, I would have 12 carbons, and between them, my 11 waters. Plants do that all the time. Remember, if they stop doing it, we die. You go, well, I don't eat plants. You eat cows. I eat cows. What do they eat? You can't get away from photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is the secret of life. If you lose the photosynthetic organisms, I would be losing 2 things. My oxygen makers and my food makers. And life would stop. I need them. But if you look at it this way, now there's something called NADPH on there. NADPH is a very unique substance, and it's going to be used to make more food, and I'll get there later on. But you heard the basic gist of it. All they're having is that those chloroplasts that make the leaves green, they're thousands. Sun shines on them. Now, is it the rain on the leaf or in the ground the plant's getting?
The ground.
It's in the ground, where the roots are. If you water your leaves, it ain't no good for a plant. You got to put the water on the ground, that soak in the ground. And if your own yard, if your yard's real dry, what's them big old tree roots do? They come to the surface. You cut your grass, you're hitting roots all the time. If you water your yard, will the roots come to the surface looking for it?
No.
They'll stay down. But that costs money. So a lot of folks say, well, I let nature water my yard. And next thing you know, the roots are cracking your driveway. The roots are powerful. As your car drives across the driveway, the car cracks the concrete, right? Next thing you know, you got a messed up driveway. And a lot of folks say, well, cut the tree down. Well, it's already killed you. It's already done your driveway, so why cut it down now for? And if you cut the root, why might you kill the tree? If it's a big old root and bringing water in, does the tree need water to live? But it will live it. And if you look at how big around a tree is, that's how far the roots go out. And a lot of folks take picks and just poke holes in the ground. That provides way water get inside there. That'll help the tree a whole lot. It's called aeration. But that's a pathway. And that's found in pine trees. It's found in algae. Algae that turn your bird bath green. But that's just one pathway. And that's how the plant makes sucrose, which is table sugar. But you see ATP right there? If you're going to build these big molecules, you got to put in energy. You got to put it in. And when you eat the molecule, you get it back out. It's all about swapping energy. Everything needs it. There's another one. Look at that bad boy. That is the same thing as that. Can you see it? I'll show you. Okay, first look at this one. What's sunlight doing? Light coming in. What's light doing to the water? Splitting it. What's being thrown away? What's being used over here? Now look over here. That says what? Light reactions now. You see the water being cycled around? And what's being produced from the water? Hydrogen. Now where is it going to go? Over here. Now, you see the oxygen coming out? See, the water's being split. It's being split. I'm losing the water, but the H's are going on. And this never stops. Until you stop and start watering the plant. Now, so right here, in this, now this is photolysis. Lysis means to split. That means to use sunlight. So you're using sunlight to split water now. So there's your H going this way. Now electrons provide the force to make the whole thing happen. Electrons are produced from the chlorophyll, which is struck by the light. Now, the red stuff is what's going into the process. The green stuff is coming out. So water's going in, light's going in, carbon dioxide's going in, and what's coming out is only water, oxygen, and this. You know your dew in your windshield at night? And then that's from plants. Oh, here comes the H's now. And the H's now, this cycle right here, see that word right there? It's that thing. And it's going this way. And in my other picture, it's also going that way. And what's coming out of the process? Glucose or sucrose or whatever. What's powering it? ATP powers it, becomes ADP, just like over here. Which one you like better, that one or that one?
The simpler one.
A or B?
A.
You know why I like B better?
You can see it.
I don't care about pretty, it tells me more. Oh, this one is pretty. And would you call it simpler? But they're both basically, I'm showing you this going in, this coming out, this going in, this coming out. ATP being used, NADPH. This is the same thing, but it's showing you the detail. And when you get good, you'll like that one too also. Because there's a lot of questions you would have that this answers for you. Now, alright, I'm going to look next. When we come in next time, we'll start on 13. And we're done.